Hello, my beautiful viewers on E360. I hope that you feel amazing. I feel amazing, amazing, amazing. I've got amazing guests right around the world that will come and blow your socks off. And the word for a mic drop that I love to use is boom shakalaka. So maybe you will be surprised by something that my beautiful guest will say, or maybe one of their golden nuggets. Are you ready? So I can give you 10 guesses and you will not know what our beautiful show is all about. So our title is Embrace Your Imperfections. But what does it mean? What is our title to do with self-compassion? So this week in the Diamond Beauties Forever group, my beautiful ladies group, and in my Tanzanite Euro group, we are talking about self-compassion. Do you have self-compassion for yourself? Sometimes we are so hard on ourselves that we don't give us the time of day. So can I ask you, can you be your biggest cheerleader? Or I heard somebody the other day say, the meat club. I didn't hear properly. I thought meat. And I thought, okay, meat club. What is that? And I asked, I said, what is a meat club? I said, no, it's ME club, meat club. Oh, okay, now it makes sense. I love that. Do you have your own meat club? Okay, I cannot wait for our guests to talk a little bit about self compassion. But first of all, I would love to take 3 deep breaths and then I will play my beautiful sponsor, Jose Escobar's video. And then when his video is finished, my guest, my guest will be here. My guest will be here. Are you ready? Here we go. Take a deep breath in, exhale. Another one in, exhale, one more in, exhale. Thank you so much. What I wanted to say is when you take a deep breath in and you exhale through the mouth and you make your exhale breath a little bit longer than your in breath, it calms you down. It at the moment puts you in this right moment that you are in, the right moment, the now. So that is just a tip if you didn't know that. But here I go.
Is Jose Escobar. I live in Washington, D.C. area. I'm a family man. I'm an entrepreneur, coach, author, and speaker. I have communities. I support people. I'm a servant leader, and the list goes on. And I'm primarily the CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. That's my bread and butter. That's my core offer, right? That's where I put most of my time and energy. And the Connected Leaders Academy is a growing community. It's a tribe of some of the highest level entrepreneurs from all over the world. We're now over 350 plus members, 42 states across the US, and 17 international countries. If you're an entrepreneur out there that's looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more money, more clients, right? This is the community for you.
Hello, my beautiful guest. You are all here. You are all here. I am going to start with Jose because, sorry, Jose. I'm going to start with Gordon. Gordon, I met you through on the CLA group. So, how incredible that we could connect with each other on that amazing group. So, may I ask you, can you please introduce yourself and tell us what self compassion means for you?
I'm Gordon Douglas Melville. I'm in Ontario, Canada, and I am a legacy and resiliency strategist. I'm known as the long bearded guy. I'm not quite sure why. My show, my podcast, TV show, and live radio show weekly is also called the long bearded guy, which just makes it easy to find me. Self compassion is self care. We do this thing where we give other people grace without lots of times without question. We give them grace, but we don't give it to ourselves. So self compassion. I'm a walking, talking billboard for what happens when you don't do any self compassion, when you don't do self care. And so we'll talk more about that, I'm sure. But that's where I'm at.
Wow.
Thank you for having me, Sanet.
Oh, thank you, my beautiful Gordon. You come quite a few times to the show as my guest, and in 2 weeks' time, you will be here again, and we're going to talk about healing. So I cannot wait for that show. But today is a special show because I've got four new guests, and all of you will be invited to come again on a Thursday as well. So thank you so much for being my guest, my beautiful ones. Janice, can you please introduce yourself and tell us what self compassion means for you?
Absolutely. I'm Janice Drew Bennett, and I am here in Rhode Island in the US. And for me, as a mother, as a working professional business owner, for athlete, self compassion is giving myself space to mess up, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, and it's allowing myself to forgive myself when I don't do things just right. So that's my definition of self compassion.
I love that. I love that. My beautiful Dave, can you introduce yourself and also tell us what self compassion means for you?
Yeah, sure. So thanks so much for inviting us. And I'm from New York, as you could probably hear from my accent. Uh, and what self compassion really means for me is kind of much like was already said, the grace within ourselves. We've made mistakes. We'll make mistakes in the future, but not to beat ourselves up about it, and also to use your resources. I know when I've got into my biggest troubles is when I haven't used my resources and the things that I knew, right? I know these things, so that doesn't help us. Self compassion is to not only know the things we know, but do the things we know how to do, take care of ourselves, and make sure that we do that. And that's what we talk about for right now.
I love that. And my beautiful Dave, we are going to do a shout out to Ronnie, Tanda Cody, because she introduced the two of us. So, my beautiful Ronnie, here's a kissy for you. Thank you so much for introducing me and Dave with each other. My beautiful Cindy, and I want to give a shout out to Sunay because Sunay have invited you to the Diamond Beauties group. And I want to, Sunay, here's your kissy. Mwah. My beautiful Cindy, can you introduce yourself? Tell us where you're from and also what does self compassion mean for you?
Thanks, Annette. I am Cindy Morton Ferreira. I'm from South Africa and I live in Cape Town. And this is a great honor, and thank you so much for this. Self-compassion it's quite a key thing. I have a 9-year-old, and I am teaching him self-compassion. And while teaching him that, I realized just as much as I'm teaching him it's okay to fail, it's also okay for his mom to fail. And what does it mean to pick yourself up and go to the next level? And that's been one of the biggest journeys is becoming a parent. So thank you so much, Sanet.
Wow, thank you. And if you permit us, we would love to find out a little bit later how compassionate your beautiful son of 9 years are. We will come back to you. So thank you so much. So my beautiful lady, please do a shout out to Brad. Brad have introduced us. So my beautiful Brad, my twin. Mwah, there's your kissy. And we had such a beautiful dance the first time. I think we danced both of our socks off. So that was so amazing. So please, can you introduce yourself and also tell us what is your impression of self-compassion?
At first, I just want to say thank you so much for being the light, an exalted light, because I usually feel like very lonely because I am so buoyant and you take the cake. So I just want to say thank you for holding the beacon, the flamethrower, the bonfire of light and love. So grateful for you. So thank you. Thank you. So I'm Kate McKay. I am a high performance coach and also a transformational speaker. I am deeply committed to helping people ignite their agility. And why agility? Well, agility has a big component of it, which is understanding that life isn't going to go the way that you think. So, in order to understand and really embrace resilience, we need to have a high level of self compassion and embrace the hot mess, because my life has been a hot mess and so many failures. And yet I still come through it laughing. And I believe that self compassion is an active process, and because I think it's a gateway to brilliance. I think it's a gateway to our greatness. And I also believe it's the gateway to service, because we can only serve and fulfill our mission if we're doing our self work, loving ourselves, and equally important, being committed to mission driven service to others.
I love it. I love it. So, my beautiful guests, all of you know I have lost a whole person in weight, but I just quickly want to tell the audience. So, I've lost a whole person in weight. If I can get the lighting right, there you are, 165 pounds. But I didn't, if I look back now, self love and self compassion was not part of my vocabulary. I had to learn it. It's like a muscle. And we're going to stop at Kate a little bit later, because I'm going to stop at the muscle building with Kate and I'm going to ask her a question on that. But it's like a muscle build. The more I started to look myself in the mirror, the more I start to love myself, the more I take care of myself, the more I did things for myself. So that's why I love the me club. Well, I thought she said meat club, but it was a me club. I'm my biggest cheerleader. And the other day I said to somebody, I am truly privileged to be me. Yes, I done it. Like you said, beautiful Kate, a lot of muddy stuff when I went through, but now I'm the lotus. So I am this beautiful flower shining and catching the sun and giving sparkles to somebody. So now, my beautiful Gordon, you mentioned in your opening statement that you are a billboard for self compassion. Can you tell us why?
I can. The sort of Reader's Digest condensed version is that I was Energizer Bunny for 30 years, 3 decades of go, 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 go. The paradigm that was planted in me by my parents and church and teachers and whatever was that looking after yourself first was selfish. And so everybody came before me. And I was one of those guys that pushed, like push, push, push. I would work 19, 20, 22, 23 hours a day, 10 days a week, 500 days a year. And I know that's not how many days in a year there are. I'm just saying, trying to make the point that, it just didn't matter. 7 days a week, I was pushing. I was teaching self-care, but I wasn't doing any self-care, which I think is a common thread for a lot of people, especially for guys. If we don't cough up a lung, we're not going to see a doctor. So, but you do that for long enough, and eventually your body says, hey, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And that's what happened. In late 2015, my body said, I'm out. And so I was bedridden for 2 years. And in the middle of that, and you and I have discussed this at length multiple times on our virtual coffees, but eventually in the middle of that, when you take an Energizer Bunny and do that to them, squish them into a space where they can't move, it gets dark in a hurry. And so there was a suicide attempt in the middle of that. And I look back at that was Papa gifting me perspective. And I call God Papa because of my relationship with him, but he gifted me that perspective that I needed to get my mission done, because I understood EQ at a really, really high level. I've been studying it for a long time, but I didn't understand deep depression and suicide. And so to the point on self-compassion, I wasn't giving myself compassion. I was giving it to everybody else. And I think a lot of times to understand, it's kind of that whole concept around putting your own mask on first on an airplane, right? If I don't, what happened when I got sick was that all the people, the reason I was working so hard, I was no good to my family, my clients. I wasn't good for myself. So I think it's selfish not to do self-compassion first, but I make the point that it's not look after yourself first instead of looking after your responsibilities and your right? It's doing it, looking after yourself first, so that you can show up the way you know you need to and want to for the people that are around you. So that's, again, kind of really short version of it, but
I got goosebumps. I got goosebumps. My beautiful guest. If I get goosebumps, I put my hard glasses on. My beautiful Gordon, and yes, we had quite a few chats already. And you are also one of the two people I heard the first time the semicolon that some people are putting on. So, my guess, I will come to you in a few seconds. Please tell us the semicolon.
yeah, I used a heart instead of, whoop, where is it? I used a heart instead of the dot because I'm heart centric. But a semicolon is the international sign for suicide survivor. So when we write as authors, you get to the end of a sentence and you put a period, and then you go, wait, I got some more to say. So you use a semicolon and you continue to write. So that's why they use that. There's the semicolon project. There's lots of things out there like that. But I think when I had that put on, the gentleman that put it on my wrist, he raises money for suicide prevention by doing semicolon tattoos. And he told me that was the biggest one he'd ever done, which I thought was very interesting because it means people want to acknowledge it, but they don't want anybody to know. So they're a bunch of real little itty bitty semicolons. Right. And he asked me, why did you want it on your right wrist? And I said, because when I shake hands with people, if they know what a semicolon is, they instantly know it's a safe zone, no judgment. And that works again. He asked me recently, I reached out to him for some more body art, and he said to me, is your tattoo working the way you'd hoped? And I said, I can tell you this. I was in a Starbucks, and the lady behind the counter held up the machine so that I could tap my debit card. And my sleeve must have come up just enough she could see my tattoo. And she didn't say anything, but her eyes filled up with tears instantly, and she pulled her ear forward, and she had a little tattoo of a semicolon behind her ear. And it instantly it gives me goosebumps. It instantly connected us at our heart, right? I had a little bit of a glimpse of her journey. She had a little bit of a glimpse of mine, but we didn't have to say anything to know that it was a safe, no judgment zone.
That's incredible. Thank you for that, Gordon. So, my beautiful Janice, I am going to come to you. Is there a point in your life that you realize that self-compassion has to be part of your everyday work on not only for others but for you first, and then you can help others?
I think a lot of what Gordon said, I can relate to. And when you talked about growing up in a Christian family, I think that is definitely something about giving and not being selfish. And I think over the years I've learned to spoil myself at times. And when you said don't be selfish, the face mask image immediately came into my head, where if you aren't taking care of yourself, then you can't take care of others. And if I'm feeling upset and angry and burnt out, that's not going to help anybody else around me. So being able to slow down and give myself time, and again, that forgiveness of things that I can't have control over, as well as not letting others' judgments perhaps stop me from doing what is good for me. So I think that's and I can't think of a specific moment in time, but I think having kids partially helped me figure out that I can't just give to the kids all the time. I need time for myself. I need self-care and self-compassion.
I love that. Thank you, my beautiful Janice. And my beautiful Dave, self-compassion, can you give us a snippet of your self-compassion that you do during the day?
Well, pretty much like everybody had said, I'd gotten into a position where I was taking care of everybody, and I wasn't taking care of David. I got addicted to and diagnosed with the ICTA disease. I know that already, right? We all know how to take care of ourselves, but we don't spend time, or a lot of us don't. I wasn't. I was pushing, taking care of family, taking care of my, all the things that I needed to do, a job, clients, all these things, but I wasn't taking care of David. And I use a reference that Gordon mentioned earlier about the air mask when you're on a plane. And what they really don't explain, though, is the most important part is you need the air mask on you first, because if not, you won't have enough air and you'll pass out yourself and you'll be good for nobody and or anybody in correct English. Um, but by not being around, being good for anybody else, the same thing is with that self compassion. If we don't build into our lives those boundaries, those things in our lives that we have to say, "Hey, I need a break." Kids, go watch TV. Go on your phone because mommy, daddy, aunt, uncle, grandma, whoever needs a break. And that doesn't mean that you don't love them. That doesn't mean that there's not love in your heart, but knowing to how to save yourself first. That was my big lesson when I also attempted suicide. And now I make sure once I found the right boundaries, the right resources for myself, because I was able to help people before. I had helped people in the position that I was in, but I wasn't helping Dave. So right now, my biggest client is always Dave. I need to figure out, and that's not a me point. It's not a selfish. It's if I'm going to help people, and I do a lot of things, but if I'm not in the right shape there, and much like I'm sure everybody else would agree, if you don't plant the seed today, the trees of tomorrow won't grow. And what I mean by that in the self compassion is if we take care of ourselves, we're at a better place to handle somebody when they might not be at their best. And that's one of those things that I really talk about with self compassion.
I love that. I love the seed when you talk about the seed as well. I love that. Thank you, my beautiful Dave. So, my beautiful guests, I did mute some of you because there was a back noise, but I will unmute you. So, I'm going to go over to Cindy. Cindy, um, you talked about your 9-year-old son and then self compassion, but I also know that children learn from us. So if you say take care of yourself and you don't for the little one and you don't take care of yourself, but is there any time that you have said something to you that for self compassion that you had to bring into your life?
So I have this dynamic 9-year-old, and I'm sure all parents believe that their child is the best. So we have a thing, we do journaling together, and we journal about a lot of stuff around how do we look after each other and just around people and what people mean in our world and our community. And I've taught him he's very hard on himself. And then I wondered, where does this come from? Like, and then I was like, well, let's go look in the mirror because it's his image in me. And I had to teach him certain techniques to get over that. And so he does that with me now, where I'll have had a really rough day and he'll come to me and he'll say, Mum, it's okay. It's time to breathe. And breathe it in now, Mom. And hold it for 4. And then breathe it out. So the techniques are things that he's learning, and we have a courageous game that we play. So different movement for kids means different things, and we started that because I wanted him to understand that courage, that it's okay to fail, and how do you grow from that. But he does those things now with me. So if I've had a bad day and I've walked in, takes out the courageous cards and says, "Come on, let's play." Most definitely one of the most amazing things.
Wow. I cannot wait to tell us in the next round what he is doing for his 9-year-old. My beautiful guest, you will not believe what this 9-year-old do. He is truly inspiration. So thank you so much for that, my beautiful Cindy. I'm going to go over to Kate. So Kate, we talk about muscle memory, that you have to get your muscle memory on self-compassion. Do you have a few tips for us? And then can you tell me why I'm asking you about the muscle memory? Because I was like, when you showed me your pictures, my jaw went from close to almost like the mask. If my tongue, I'm so sorry, I just pronounced my tongue. Cindy will know in Afrikaans. My tongue, if it could roll out when I saw how beautiful you are, I would have done that. But all over to you, my beautiful Kate.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I just had the classic ADHD, so I used weight training as a way to keep me calm. So for me, self-compassion is not a concept, it's a doingness and it's a beingness. And the way we express self-compassion has action. I'm an action-based coach. And this is my reason why I share this often. This is my beautiful son, who I lost in 2017 to suicide. This is my why, because he was an incredible human being, soulful, beautiful, gritty, just an exceptional human. And so I had a choice. What does self-compassion look like when your grief doesn't want to be expressed in the same way that it was expressed in your own family, in the way you were brought up? I'm here to bring light to dark places. I'm here to represent the suffering. And I didn't know, and yet now I do know what my role is. I'm far clearer about that. So because I'm an action-based coach, I would love to provide a few tips on how we can incorporate self-compassion as an agile exercise, a movement based on movement, on grace, on resilience, and kindness towards ourselves. And in that way, we can serve higher for others. And just quickly, mindful movement, find movement that is pleasure to you, that makes you connect in the body. Breath is important, but honor the gift you were given by a strong body. We were given this incredible skin suit to express ourselves. And let's use that by grounding into our beautiful body. Practice self-compassion journaling. We already know of these things. Setting realistic goals and also practicing the gratitude, but also seeking support and understanding resilience. Part of resilience is understanding that things are going to be a mess. And we can express that sort of self-compassion and self-love even in the mess. And I would say lift weights because that's the reason why I've been able to compete. I compete as a bikini competitor from the age of 43 to 61. And it's the reason why I look like the way I do. It's from the muscles. Muscles are good for the brain. Muscle builds mitochondria. Muscle fuels the brain. It's not about what you look like, although it's nice to look good. It's about fueling yourself with healthy food and exercise. That's the way we serve at the highest to best. I believe that's the way I honor the gift that God gave me. So thank you so much for listening.
Well, I love it. So I'm going to play this for you. I love it. And my beautiful Kate, when we had our coffee chat, I wrote that evening in my diary. I met an angel, an earth angel, because you told me about your son. You showed me his picture. You showed me, or you told me the grief that you had to go through, the whole everything, and how you made a decision to help others. So I proclaim that you are an earth angel, my beautiful one. Thank you for what you are doing for the world. So when we come back around, I want you to tell us how you're helping your beautiful clients and serving the world. Okay. So thank you so much. So my beautiful Gordon, can you tell us how are you serving the world, my beautiful one? I cannot wait for you to tell us about your men's group and that you also have done a little bit of a women a women course as well. So can you please tell us how are you serving the world?
I can. I appreciate the opportunity. I do. I obviously I have my live radio show, my TV show podcast, so that goes out weekly. Thousands and thousands of people watch that. We got hundreds of millions of reach, which is wonderful. So I do that, but I also my avatars are entrepreneurial men, elite entrepreneurial men, and pro athletes. And so I last season I worked with a pro basketball team as their mindset, and I make a distinction between. I'm certified as a high performance coach, but they're all high performance. They're all drafted. They're all elite athletes. So I realized very quickly, wait a second. You're all high performance, but you're not all champions. So there's a switch you have to flip to go from high performance to champion. So I refer to myself in that space as a champion performance catalyst, because you're trying to help them move forward and sparking that in some of these young athletes to get them to push harder and to show up. And so, but the Box Inside Out is my flagship program that I've done hundreds of times with thousands of men. And it's literally, guys will do one of two things with our emotion. Typically, we either push them down inside of ourselves, so we hold that dis-ease in our bodies, which makes us sick, or we put it in a box and we put those emotions on a shelf because we were told, don't deal with that. Don't look weak, don't cry. And so the challenge with that is either way, we have residual pain from that. And so now we're trying to dull the pain. Well, how do we do that? Well, drugs, alcohol, gambling, porn, whatever it is. The point is now I have a vice on top of the problem. And if I let it sit there too long, I probably have an addiction on top of the problem. So I teach tools and strategies. I teach the 7 levels of emotional intelligence for men, but I teach tools and strategies to be able to deal with our emotion, deal with our life. So acknowledge it's there and then let it go. Have a frozen moment and let it go. And so what that's sort of showed up as, last year I was having some struggles with getting guys to engage, because as soon as you say to guys, come on, tell me how you feel, they get away from me. I don't want anything to do with that. Like, I don't want to talk about that. I don't even think about it. Don't bring that to me. And so I was struggling with it. And one of my business mentors said to me, is anybody responding to your ads? And I said, yes, but they're all women and that's not my avatar. And she said, well, I'm not saying change your avatar, but I'm saying if that's who's connecting to you. And she's from New York, so Dave, you'll appreciate that. She's got a little bit of an edge to her, and I love that about her. There's no pretense. She'll call a spade a shovel, right? And so she looks at me and she goes, Gord, do you have the balls to do a woman's version of your men's program? And I was like, damn. So anyway, when she throws the gauntlet down, you can't not pick it up. So I did, and she was one of the first people to register and pay. And I got one of the best testimonials I ever got from anybody from her after going through that. But what I learned was it's a human thing. Emotions are a human thing. I teach guys a lot about their worth and their value. And you and I have talked a lot about, one of my biggest questions to new people is who you be. And I ask it that way on purpose because I'm trying to interrupt their thought pattern. What did he just ask me? Who are you being, right? And then they tell me I'm an athlete, or I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm a coach. No, that's what you do. That's not who you are. And to be able to separate those two pieces, right? And so with these women, I was teaching guys, I teach worth and value. With the women, I'm teaching the similar type things, and they lit up because they struggle just like we do with worth and value. They get there in a completely different way than we do. Right. But they deal with it. So it's a human thing. It's not just it's not a gender thing in any way, shape or form. Right. And what I found from that was the one lady, part of the way through one of the classes, she started to cry. And we're all like, are you okay? And she said, yes. But she said, I've been jealous of our dog. And we're all like, what? And she goes, yeah, I'm jealous of the dog. My husband won't talk to me, but he'll take 2 beers and a cigar and go to the garage with the dog. And I can hear him talking to the dog, but he won't talk to me. And we're like, why is that? What's the dog giving him that he doesn't perceive he can? Now, you may be giving it, but he doesn't perceive, right? Guys will open up if they feel safe and not judged. And so there's nothing. I said to her, what can your husband say to the dog that will stop the dog from licking his face and thinking he's just all that in a bag of chips? And she said, nothing. He can say whatever he wants to the dog. The dog will love him unconditionally. And I said to her, there's something in there somewhere you need to dig into. And so she's doing her relationship with her husband's gone gangbusters beyond that, because she realized, wait, I have to be a better conduit so that my husband can reach out to me, right? So that we can connect on that level. But that's, being able to teach those things. Those skills are things that we can learn. We're not born with most of that stuff. We have to learn those things. Same as Kate works out, right? The way she didn't look like that when she went in the gym the first time, or the second time, or the 10th time, or the 100th time. It took over and 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 over to get to look like that, right? And so we need to do the same thing with our emotion. We need to do the same thing with all that stuff inside of us. We need to practice how to deal with those things.
I love that. So I'm gonna first do this. And then I am going to bring Janice back in. Her camera just went off, so let me just bring her in. Janice, there you are.
Yeah.
So, my beautiful Janice, thank you so much, my beautiful Gordon. I love that. So, my beautiful Janice, can you please tell the viewers out there, how are you serving the world? Ah, I'm so sorry. Let me just unmute you. It's there you go. You are welcome.
Yes. And thank you, Sanet. I had a phrase I was using for a while about changing the world, one person, one mission at a time. And I think, Kate, when you said ADHD or ADD, sometimes I'm all over the place. And so thinking about focusing on one person and one mission at a time, I think really is powerful. And I think back to having a kid that I mentored when I was a kid, and the way his face lit up, and he had family problems, and just 6 year old, and I was probably 12 to 14, and mentoring one person, I think, and helping him was something that I just remember for my whole life as a child. And so as I mentor others, every single person that I've touched and that has touched me, I think that's changing the world, having the individual impact. And there is one mission that I'm really supporting right now with an organization called Sponsors of the Future, that supports neurodiversity and belonging and inclusion, education and advocacy. So we all think differently, we all behave differently, and at the same time, feeling like we belong is important, and creating independence and creating spaces and programs to help people of all abilities is part of the mission of that organization.
Wow, I love that. I'm going to ask you another question. One of the things I've picked up, so on Thursday, I did my 504 coffee chat in 2 years and 8 months. I can almost say 95% of the women I spoke to feel unworthy. And 90% of all the people I've talked to feel they don't belong somewhere. So, and then after, when I do another coffee chat, and then I found out, but Sanet, thank you so much for the Diamond Beauties. I don't have a lot of feedback from the Tanzanite Heroes as yet, because they are still a new group, but the Diamond Beauties is 3 years old. They tell me the sense of belonging. They feel this group is different than so many other groups because we really care about each other. So, may I ask the question of the sense of belonging, especially on the mission work that you are doing? Can you see the reaction of that belonging with the mental and physical health of, I don't know what the ages of it sounds to me if it's going to be children, but when they bring belonging into their psychic, is their mental and their health change?
I think seeing their faces light up, I mean, that's smiles, I think, make you healthier. So when you see people smiling and excited and expressing joy after engaging with everyone in a group, I think that's a seed of being planted to help people be happier and healthier and live longer lives. And so, and again, when I was in high school, I had a best buddy as well. So and she was like a best friend. So having that friendship and the social connection, I think really also creates a sense of healthiness. When you have the social connections, and when you have the ability to create joy for others, that creates healthy people.
I told you when we had the coffee chat, you are magical. Here is your hand clap. Thank you, my beautiful Janice. My beautiful Dave, can you tell us, how are you serving the world? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm too slow. I'm too slow. Here you
It's
go.
Saturday. I'm a New Yorker, right? You tell me my go, let's go for it. Um, really, so how I'm serving is in multiple ways. I help people get through the experience of life, but I also make sure that we um, are proud of our story. While we might not be proud of everything in our story, but we live through our story, and how our stories actually take us to that next level. What do we do with that next level, that story, sometimes it's a story we have to overcome in our lives. So I do help people overcome. I've worked with veterans here in the States on how to overcome some of the stories that they've experienced, and it's really meant a lot. Now, again, to not loop on, we can't do this alone. Mentoring. Gordon mentioned about coaching, and we need to reach out to ourselves, and that's why when I put underneath my name the Goon Father, I'm running a charity called Goons for Good, and that was a nickname that they started giving me, the Goon Father. But it's really about showing up. It's not about being a goon. So a goon, actually, in a remote sense of the word, really was the people who took care of your neighborhood, who were showing up in your community, and you knew where to go. I have stories in my own life, or stories that I've heard, that was the safe place that women knew how to go, where to go late at night. They knew the right clubs to go into to get walked home. So there's a lot of different ways to look at those things, and it's how we use our stories, even when we have had something really bad. So I don't know if anybody else has attempted suicide, like Gordon and I. And I'm not asking, if anybody wants to share, but that's a story that people a lot of times will shut you down on. Oh, don't talk about that. Like I'm like, no. In fact, during my attempt, I was actually told I need to go back and talk about it, because we need to talk about our mental wellness, our abilities to sometimes carry too much. We talked about that before. We do too much. Janice was talking about, the ADHD, and we're doing too much and not taking care of ourselves. So what I do is I help make sure that we create a plan. Like Kate would say, when you start working out, you need a plan. You can't just go in the gym and go, okay, machines jump on me. What do I do to get better? You need to have a workout plan. You need to have the right plan. And I create wellness plans, as well as help people write books. I don't know how many of us have had those compilation books, and those are great. It gets part of your story out, but there's so much more power when you write your own story, your own book with your name on it, and taking that stand. And that's really what I do for people, is I help them take their stand by writing books, getting on stages, or creating their own podcasts, because I've had a podcast, and I love meeting people to have their story. That's what the podcast is really about.
I love that. So here is for you. And Janice, was it your little one that was why he can come and say hi to us? So my beautiful Dave, here is your hand clap. We love children, Janice, so you can really come and say hi to us. So thank you so much for that, my beautiful Dave. And then I'm gonna go to Cindy. Cindy, can you tell us what your son is doing? Oh, my beautiful guest, you will not believe what this 9-year-old do. Is like unbelievable. Please go ahead, my beautiful Cindy.
I feel like I should have actually called him into the room. So my son, since an early age, I am a used to be a dancing teacher, and has danced all his life with me in the kitchen cooking. And he has participated in the South African team internationally and traveled to many European countries. But while we've traveled, we support an organization here called kidspositive.org, and it's an organization of single moms that uses South African beading and creates various things. So his stage name is A Fire, because it's Aiden and he's got red hair, so we've called him A Fire. And he has been promoting every country that we've gone to. We've given out these bands with the South African flag and his name, and connected it to the kidspositive.org so that he can start contributing to that. The other things that he does is he'll notice things that and he's just turned 9, most 9-year-olds wouldn't see. So in my business, I talk about being change fit to become future fit. And part of that is, how does he see things in the world that we live in, and how he contributes to the world around us. So he does things like, we'll be driving past with his kids that are on the street, and stop and go and buy them food and go and take it to them. He'll buy pillows, take his pillows. He's just one of those humans that God put in my life in the most special way to acknowledge the things that he can and will be doing to change the world. So he is a special little man. Thanks,
Wow.
Sanet. I'm going to
I've
cry.
got I've got goosebumps. And the way that we connected, I asked her for Sydney to come to the show, and I asked, but I cannot have you on the show if I didn't have a coffee chat with you. And we could not have a coffee chat. And I said, I think we said today, come let us have today. And we got on, and that day was truly amazing because I lost a lot of work on my computer because of the Microsoft thing. And I was like, oh, and Cindy was also, wow, we wow, oh, cried together. But that also made us closer to each other. So, my beautiful Cindy, what is your golden nugget?
My golden nugget. So today was meant to be about talking about how we grow and how we embrace our imperfections. My imperfection is it took me 15 years to have this beautiful human that has changed my world. And my golden nugget is my A fire. And he brings such wisdom in such a young age. I feel like he's an old soul, and he is fit. He's future fit, and he's fit for how we change. And it's a muscle that we continue to develop and grow. And we make mistakes all the time as mom and son, and we're going to continue to learn from each other.
I love it. Yes to you and Aiden. Thank you. My beautiful Kate, can you please share how you are changing the world?
Wow. Well, I just was just in awe of hearing everyone else. And it's always so humbling in the best of ways. So thank you for everyone sharing their stories. So I am also a high performance coach certified, and mostly I was, well, let's just say in theater was the only thing I ever got A's in. So I've recommitted to telling powerful stories from the stage, and I'm really excited about that. So as a transformational speaker, and in particular around, again, as I mentioned earlier, the agility mindset and the components that requires us to be agile, continually agile, especially during these really radically changing times. Things are shaking and moving, and we have to stay strong and be resilient and be the helpers, because the world's going to need people like us to be strong, to be resilient, to have strong psychological fortitude. Those words together are my favorite. And I believe that is truly was the foundation to which I was able to heal through the loss of my son, because I had the fortitude to carry on. And as Les Brown so aptly states, when life knocks you on your back, make sure you look up, or fall on your back. Make sure you look up, because if you can look up, you can get up. So let's all rise together. I am really excited to work with people, and men in particular, alpha strong people who want to pursue the path of excellence by breaking through psychological limitation to achieve a legacy mindset. That's my game. I'm here to be a cheerleader to the masses, and I'm just grateful that I get to cheer all of you on, and you get to cheer me on as we travel and journey together. So thanks to all of you for this partnership. I'm really, really super grateful, and hope to play again more in the future. Thanks to all the listeners too, who are here with us. And hopefully you're getting a little tidbit in our shared time together under Queen Sanet. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, my beautiful Kate. And with all the coaches, women coaches I've met before, you were the only one that caters for men. And how incredible, because what happened with your son, and you change it around, and you are changing so many people around the world. So here is to you, my beautiful one. So we do have a minute. I don't know if you have time to give me your golden nugget, but don't give me an explanation. Just give me your golden nugget. Kate, let me start with you.
Yes. So live powerfully within your greatness. You are here for great things. We do not have time for low self worth. Go live within the fire of who you are and who you came here to be. Your best self is in your future. You don't have to deserve it. You just have to get after it.
Wow. And I know yours is long, but I just took a short part in the opening video. Gordon, what is your golden nugget? I love it. Quickly.
Who you be? Ask yourself, who are you showing up for the world? How are you showing up for the world?
I love it. Dave, what is your golden nugget?
My golden nugget is use your resources. Find out what your resources are, but make sure you use them.
Janice, your golden nugget?
And mine is take a deep breath. Life is too short to stay mad.
I love it. I love it. I've got goosebumps. I've got goosebumps. My beautiful viewers, I hope that you have loved our show today. We cannot believe our show is dust and done, but almost done. Almost done. My beautiful Janice, Dave, Gordon, and I just need to unmute Cindy quickly. Cindy and Kate, will you have a dance with me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
My beautiful viewers on E360, will you have a dance with us? They said yes. They said yes. Here we go. Go, Kate. Go, Kate. Oh, Dave, there you are, Dave.
Walking on sunshine.